fellow with his skin all green and his teeth all.
Welcome to this video, where we will talk about the movie The Grinch. We will begin by exploring the movie storyline, summarizing its plot and discuss the cast and characters. Then we will take a closer look at the film production details and box office performance. Finally, we will share review and audience reaction to give you a well-rounded perspective. Let's get started. The Grinch 2 sang box office crowned with the $67 million. His heart may be small, but that does not mean his box office returns will be. Dr. Seuss The Grinch is looking to top the weekend box office in its debut with an estimated $67 million from 4,141 North American locations. Benedict Cumberbatch voiced that the titular Green Whoville dungeons in the Universal new adaptation of the Seuss 1957 story from Illuminations. Scott Mosters and the Yarrow Chaney directed The United Peak from a screenplay by the Michaels, Losers and the Tommy Swardello, Richard Jones, Kenan Thoffens, Cameron Seeley and the Angelina Lansbury also lent their voice to these features, with the Pharrell Williams narrating and the music by Benedict Cumberbatch voiced the titular Green Wild's dungeons in the Universal new adaptation of the Seuss 1957 story from the Illumination. Scott Mosters and the Yarrow Chaney directed the Yuletide Peak from a screenplay by the Michaels, Lizards and the Tommy Sword. Richard Jones, Kenan Thoffens, Cameron Silly and the Angelina Lansbury also lent their voice to the features with the parallel Williams narrating and music by the Danny Elfman. The film has an early Rotten Tomatoes scores of the 54% and has landed an A- cinema score. The Last Grinch adaptation 2000's instant classics. How the Grinch Stole Christmas starring James Carey and directed by the Ron Howards earned $55 million in its opening weekend, giving this year animated versions significant box office adage. The film wound up with a $3,045 million worldwide. The Grinch is Illumination's second success story adaptation after the Lorax, which opened in 2012, $7.52 million and total $3,048.8 million worldwide. Fox. Bohemian Rhapsody should take in another $29 million in its second record to land second to place. Fox Bohemian Rhapsody should take in another $29 million in its second weekend to land second place at the box office. That will bring its the domestic crumbs to the $98.1 million Rami Malek stars as the Freddie Mercury in the biopic, which has also earned $110.5 million overseas. How old over the new tracker and the from realms and the openers, Overload and the girls in the spider web should battle it out for the third place, each headed for around $9 million with spider web slightly below with the $8.5 million. Nutcracker and the Four Realms in the second weekend has so far taken in $28 million even with this. Nutcracker and the Four Realms in its second weekend has so far taken in the $28 million. Even with this weekend take, the Destiny pick still has a way to go to the profitability. It has a production budget of around $125 million. Nutcracker has also taken in the $39 million overseas Overload, which was produced under J.J. Abrams. That Robert Banners took in the $3.75 million on Friday. Distributed by the Paramount, the R-rated film was directed by the Julius Avery, with the Bally Ray and the Mark L. Smith writing the screenplay, John Adapo, Betty Resh Pillow, Methil Olivier, John Margot, and the Land D. Christopher stars. Overload follow a group of the American phototropes who drop into Nice occasions France on the Avey. Overload follow a group of the American phototropes who drop into Nazi Cape, France of the AVOD day during WW2. As they struggle to carry out their seemingly impossible mission, they discover a secret Nazi lab carrying out terrifying and the barrier supranational experiments. The film is sitting at the 81% on Rotten Tomatoes and earned a The Girl in the Spiderweb is opening at the 2,929 locations for Sony and took in the $3 million on the Friday. Clear 4 stars. The Girl in the Spiderweb is opening at the 2,929 locations for Sony and took in the $3 million on the Friday. Clear 4 stars as the Lisbeth Lander in the most recent adaptation of the Zig Larson's Millennium series. Freddy Alvarez directed Spiderweb from a script he co-writers with the J. Basu and Stephen K. Knight. The previous Millennium installment 2011 The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo starred Rooney Mara in the Slender's role alongside Daniel Carriage as a journalist Michael's Blomvixit, this time played by the Xavier Gersons. Zodiac Helmer David Fincher's directed and the film opened to the $12.76 million on its way to $2,032 million run, with the $130 million from the international audience. Electrician drama, The Front Runner starring Hugh Jackman as the fated Democratic presidential candidate Gary Hart has its limited open this weekend at 4 The Sony Columbia from made 11,000 on the Friday for a projected $42,000 from the weekend that the wood brings the domestic comes $62,200 million. The front runners go wide, now 21. Amazon Beautiful Boy starting tomato climates and the Steve Carell goes wide this weekend, expanding to the 77 theaters. It's so far earned $3.1 million domestically after opening at the 4 theaters October 12th. The Grinch 2080 surprised Home Alone as the highest grossing holiday movie. Elimination 2008 animated remake of The Grinch top 500 million mark overword, surprising Home Alone as the highest grossing holiday movie. The Grinch mad seasons might be over, but it turns out The Grinch is still stealing cash at the box office. Co-directed by the Scott Mosters and the Yarrow Chaney, the 2018 retelling of the Dr. Seuss classic story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas service as the third adaptation overall and the second theatrical versions, the original 1996 animated specials narrated by the horror iconic Boris Califor remains as a spectacle of the holiday TV, while the 2000 live acting rendition starring Jim Carrey earned mostly direction at the time. Love remains at the slab of the holiday TV while the 2000 live action redaction starring Jim Carrey earned mostly directions at the time but now sports a surprisingly large cult fan base. Released back on November 9, 2018, The Grinch Reviews makes review from the criticize, earning a just barely rotten $58 million on the Rotten Tomatoes with an even worse audience score of the 55%. Yet, for the whatever reasons those statements have hurt the animated film at the box office as it opened. One person hauled in that $2,069 million domestically and then another $230 million from the forgiven markets. Doctor Stranger star Benedict Cumberbatch voiced the title role with the greatest Sevens Cameron silly playing. And the another $2,030 million from the forgiven markets. Doctor Strange star Benedict Cumberbatch voiced the title role with the greatest showman Cameron Silly playing young Candy Lo Wu, Rashid Jones, Kenan Tamphones, and the Angelina Lansbury also starred. Related, The Grinch scores biggest opening weekend for a Christmas movie. Today, Variety reports that The Grinch has now earned more than $500 million at the worldwide box office, leaping over beloved 990 classic Home Alone for the title of the highest grossing holiday movie. Variety does not specially was say that they are the considering a holiday movie, so it's the unclear if some things. Today, Variety reports that The Grinch has now earned more than $500 million at the worldwide box office, lapping over beloved 990 classic Home Alone for the title of the highest grossing holiday movie. Variety does not specially say that they are the considering a holiday movie, so it's the unclear if some things like Die Hard would qualify or if movies set on the holidays other than the Christmas are in the running. Either way, Die Hard only has a worldwide grossing of $141 million and the Christmas has faced more movies set on it than another holiday, so it's a bite of a moot point. For the record Home Alone worldwide gross, it's a massive $476 million, which is all the more impressive considering its $80 million budget and the year it was released in. Obviously, if adjusted from the inflations, Home Alone still come out way ahead of the Green still. That does not mean those behind the never filmed don't deserve to the celebrate these the financial milestones. The Grinch is a certified hit, and there's no two way about it. The Grinch monstrous success aside, if definitely remains to be the seen if the Dr. Seuss adaptation will stand the test of the time in the same way Home Alone has. much less the way that the original 1966 Grinch has managed to. Only time will tell. The Grinch's monstrous success aside, if definitely remains to be seen if the Dr. Seuss adaptation will stand the test of the time in the same way Home Alone has, much less the way that the original 1996 Grinch has managed to. Only time will be if audience decide from the now are still firing up their Grinch 2080 Blu-ray to rewatch what has by them become a holiday classic, or if this latter retelling has ended up closer to Home Alone 2 in the reputations if nothing else. Fans of the Kevin MC Alistair first adventure can take scale in the for now. Friday box office The Grinch earned 90 million FM or the a possible 70 million weekend. Eliminations and the Universal Compact Crop. The Grinch topped the Friday box office with a whopping $80,672 million. The positions an animated adaptation of the classic Dr. Seuss book for above $65 million, $70 million debut weekend. It says something about Illumination as a company that the $65 million debut would still rank neither than the bottom of their respective opening weekend. The Benedict Cumberbatch starring and the parallel Williams narrated tone benefited from the obvious silence, pretense, and the relative lack of the big scale animations. All the due respect to the small food since Hotel Translations 3 back in the July. While it did not receive rave review, the notices were not too grim and the offered assumed that it Will's narrative tone benefited from the obvious silence, appreciates and a relative lack of the big scale animations are due to respect to the small food since Hotel Telemuseum 3 back in July. While it did not receive rave review, the notices were not too grim and the offer assumes that it was a mostly faithful adaptation that would entertain to the kids. It helped that this was a comparatively easy speech since animation has established itself as a valuable brand name and how the Green Stole Christmas is a well-known and well-liked story. Hence, our trailer with the actually had the mission watching the trailer, which then based the brand plus concept connection I am say at a studio flow in the original hits. Sing Distable Cable Me Secret Life of the Pets doing an easy IP sell but the money is comparatively easy pitch since elimination has established itself as a valuable brand name and how the Green Stole Christmas is a well-known and well-liked story. Hence a trailer which they actually had the mission watching the trailer which the impasse the brand plus concept connection I may cite a studio flow in original hits. Despicable Me, Secret Life of Pets doing an easy IP sell, but money is the money. Universal sold the hell out of this one with the usual multimedia solutions campaign, included media-friendly billboards around LA with the Grinch offering canical pronouncements that they are frankly manners that the anything he says in the movie. With Tuesday numbers included eliminations and the Universal Pictures, the Green started the slide across the half-billion mark worldwide. The split is 2,070 million domestic and the $2,031 million at the international box office for 501 million global. This is the sixth title from the fork at the Chris Melodia Animations powerhouse to reach $5 million domestically, known as the Dr. Seuss, The Grinch, the Benedict Cumberbatch voice update on the Christmas classic opened number 1 with a $67.6 million in the November. That gave Illumination its the 7th number for one, both with the movie going on to the become 6th highest grossing title of 2080 and the second biggest animation film of the year in the North America. Overseas, where Dr. Seuss is not well now outside the English-speaking markets, and in Germany the movie was titled simply The Grinch and has remained in the top 10 for the 9 consecutive weeks. It opened number 1 in the 30 territories included the UK, France, Australia, Spain, Mexico, Norway, India, Thailand, Vietnam, New Zealand, Hungary, and the Ukraines. Globally, the Yarrow Chinese Scott Mustard directed Big Scott, The Biggest Bow, for a Christmas themed film and went on become the highest grossing Christmas theme pick of all time and the top used adaptations. The Grinch is the story of a big green Gramps who sets out to steal Christmas only to find his heart touched by the title Candy Low, Woo and her selfish, Yuletide fish for their work on the film. Melandry and the longtime collaborator Jen Halley recently received a PGA nominated Halley Told. The Grinch is the story of a big green Grumps who sets out to steal Christmas only to find his heart touched by the title Clanty Low Woo and her selfish Yuletide fish. For their work on the film, Melandria and the longtime collaborators Jen Hurley recently received a PGA nominated Haley Toll deadline in the October that a big takeaway from the story is the power of inclusions Diversions also the importance of the community and traditionals, but even more so that the redemptive power of the forgiveness. It really speaking to what kindness means and how joy and love and compassion are so important, not only at the Christmas but for all of us. It's a time to make the world a better place. Next up this summer, Illuminations and the Universal will go back to the dogs with The Secret Life of Pets 2, the anticipated follow-up to 2016 $8,075.5 million worldwide grosser. The Grinch easily wins the weekend box office while Girl in the Spider Web bombs. It seems like everyone is already in the holiday speech as the at least telling of the Dr. Seuss classic How the Grinch Stole Christmas took a 9 bite out of the USA box office over the weekend. The most recent title from the animation studio Illuminations, creator of The Deposit Me, Minion and the Sing has that definitely put a smile on Universal's face, which released the animation studio verse. The movie took in an estimated $67 million to the easily win the weekend. Benedict Cumberbatch had the take of the walking the green mans of the Whoville and seems to have passed with the flying colors. Previously, the holiday classic was stalled with the Ambitions live action 2000 release, How the Grinch Stole Christmas with the Jamie Carey playing the title role. While Universal Eliminations found success testing of a now property, Sony MGM New Regency did not have the same luck with the girl in the spider web. The latest American release from the beloved Millennium book series that the features that the adventure of a hacker Slender's spider web comes 7 years after the UK kick-off of the franchise with the girl with the dragon tattoo, helmed by the David Finchers and the starring Ronnie Mara in. The latest American release from the beloved Millennium book series that the features that adventures of the hacker Linespan Slender's spider web comes 7 years after the UK kick off the franchise with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, helmed by the damned Frenchers and starring Ronnie Mara in the Slender's role. The movie opened with a soft $12.5 million opening made of the $90 million bet went on to earn a solid $2,032.6 million worldwide. Sony will have to work a lot harder to make back its money this time. The ramp of the franchise with the Calorie 4 in the land and the feed, Alvarez Don't Breathe. Directing did not exact audience as the movie only took in the $8 million over the weekend. Its production budget was around $40 million. The Grinch. Understand the meaning of the crisis but not the meaning of the Grinch. Pinpoint the reason for the yielded season or the late beloved community holiday special abuse uncountable Christmas. After having completed his quest to retire to a DVD of Lost, it's a symbol for the lack of the payoff. Don't worry about it. Pop Culture Encyclopedia Abad conclude The meaning of Christmas is the idea that the Christmas has meaning. He is saying that the birth of the Christmas now primarily drives its power of the significance we project onto it, whether that it's themes of the religions or the family or the just fuzzy feeling. The new adaptation of the Dr. Seuss same picture book, How the Grinch Stole Climester, a computer animated treatment taking the baton from the Chuck Jones, Cornell 1966 TV special, and the Unicorn Valley scaling live action from the 2000 has a clear cut idea of meaning that it planned on the assuming Christmas. The new adaptation of the Dr. Seuss Sam picture book, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, a computer animated treatment taking the buttons from the Chuck Jones, Canal 1966 TV special, and the Uncanny Valley scaling live action film from the 2008 plans of the assigning Christmas. Our humble narrative parallel Williams, yes, the producer from the Neptunes, spell it all out during final act in which the Grinch discovered that what the thought was a crass display of the consumerism has a warner more nourishing for foundation in love. Sing the woes of whole life join its songs, underrated by the previous night. Assorted rank seeking shows the Grinch the piece of unearthed goodwill toward man a lot more than food or deductions or the muse corrected presents under the tree. He is definitely on the something that it's the heartly revelations the Grinch arrive at the same epiphany as the countless wintertime entertainments pass, but the trouble is that the Grinch does the exact same. It's shifting particle focus to Candy Low, Woo and her the altruistic missions to get Santa to giving her the overworked single mother a break from her nursing job. The film loses light of its the main character's transformative arc, the substance that made this the particle story so enduringly popular and the right for the reputations. Jungling the subplots and the notes, Squelter's elevations and the slapstick slide gags, director Scott Masters and the Yarrow Channing lost light of the Battle of the Green Soul. They had that give way in the exposition. Dr. Seuss' original Grinch needed to contact present matter of the factly to the readers, adds a cave darlings, Crumb Doggin feeling sore about. They had the dead give way in the expositions. Dr. Seuss' original Grinch needed to Knox present matter of the factly to the adder as the cave dwelling Campdegins feeling aware about all the cheer due to heart, to size, to smell, falls forward to do, and the modern movie studio inspections features or the original narrative has the replaced the medicals diagnosed with a backstory casting the fuzzy green jar in the different light. We catch a glimpse of the Grinch during a formative childhood experience when he feels included from all the man-made because he does not know anyway. He gets into the alienations and grow up to be his the infallible Grinch self, and knowing the source of his the decommand cups up the film of an easy fix in the last 50 minutes. That 11-hour change of heart in the Grinch reason D Air and the latest adaptation twist it from a special matter prompts into a banal writing of a simple misriding the Grinch instantly whistles a different tone once he is the quietly invited to join in the worldwide rejoining and the newly refreshed by the incense of the Christmas. He returns all the goodies he stolen. He always been welcome. It turns out that the antipath was all in his head and not curiously his heart. Get a sample of Grinch DNA under the microscope and his the lineage can be traced directly back to Imbas Scotch and other misanthropy with and the name who heard Gramsing could be the metal by the holiday magic. The story of the original Grinch handed on the same crisis principle of the panic and the salvation that they fueled. Get a sample of the Grinch DNA under the microscope and his the lineage can be traced directly back to the Emberscrotch and other the misanthropy with and the atmospheres with and the cranky name was handed Grumpsing could be the metal by the holiday magic, the story of the original Grinch, hanging on the same crisis, principle of the panic and the salvations that the fluid deck means. Immortals, a Christmas carol, offering the comforting nations that it never too late to star being a decent person. The Grinch slide down the hell to give back his the pro lines, play out the Harkness back to the Scotch, calling out his the bedroom's window for a logical rising boat to go by the biggest tree in the window clusters of a magnificent domestic's glorious glamming rebirth. This story's life as an illumination that bedroom's window for a local urchin spy to go by the biggest tree in the window clusters of the magnificent Timrosting's Glorio. Their story, life, and the illumination that nobody beyond saying no matter. Now, Grinch, for all it's certainly about the meaning of the Christmas, or perhaps hacking in your mouth when spoken aloud. The Grinch does not quite understand the meaning of the Grinch. The potent internal alchemy of the bikely inform normally has been swept out for the something explicable, measurable, and easily spelled out, like the scotch behind him. The Grinch had assumed, and the almost mythical aura has and the embodiment of the focus greater than himself. The new film attempts to the Honzia its main. Something acceptable, measurable, and the easily spell out, like the Scotch. Before him, the Grinch has the assume an almost mythical aura as an embodiment of the focus greater than himself. The new film attempts to the romance its main characters by assigns him a soap story and the Okopanning's motivations rob him for the very quality. The Grinch wants the Grinch to be the Gojo Belly, the reminded trends reminder in truth. He is a lot of closer to the Chris. Harry, my first take. Robin Hood is not good. I know worth of the internet, adore the 1976 adaptations, but I have never enjoyed the slapdish animated style overly familiar character types and the more. But when you get Peter Ustin's to voice the surprising villain Prince John, you are doing something right. Where many characters in the Robin Hood feel like also runs in the Destiny canon, the saving influent Prince John feels testing thank you to Justin's over the top work. Though I am not a big fan of the resource, fear. Mad Muse is the pretty damn creepy as the with many villains on the list. She over the top but she harsh and the more complex than just brightening state up alive. Gargling Page, a lively performance couple with the unique animations to look like his then wife, who was related to the late World Destiny, which is you awkward, make Madame Murius almost too scary a villain. An older woman raising a beautiful younger woman is plenty familiar in the Destiny canon, and we'll take about another example later. The big twist with the mother Gloth News the furious finger in the tangles is that she lasts on the guilt real thick with the ramples who she kidnapping to explore the girl magical hair. We see Mother Claus traits included impact though how represent act and the Donna Murphy is a crustic delight in her big musical numbers. Mother know best. How can you go wrong with the Vincent's Price as you villains, as returns the nemesis of this film mostly Stiller Log, basically of the Breck Street, Basil of the Baker Street, Price Gets and the Odell Bell bad guy. He is powerful gangster rat who badly wants to be a mouse and a freak out when another suggests he well a rat at the star of the destiny Russians with the show cards glamour of the talent filmmakers and the storytelling powers we did see in the 1990 and the price bombsticks bigger than life work is a larger reason why. Deposit its rocky production, the Emperor New Golf, give us this the daffy villains, voiced by the author kid. The visual reputations of the Yasma is almost like in the capturing every single wrinkle this the elderly advisor, medications on her face, and the writing of the characters is the both hilarious and the self-aware, particularly in her the byplay with the henchman non. I am not this film biggest fan, but why do we even have that lever? Is one of the great Destiny one-liners. Lady Tremaine is not gifted with the superpowers, she has no magic of her own, and while Candrelia is giving the gift of a wonderful night thank you to her fairy godmothers, Tremaine's villains is rooted family is the reality that what makes her so terrifying. Eleanor oddly Prescient's vocal performance is low-key in its the clarity so when she weeps, it also more powerful, one sign of a great villain, a setting's five companion, a chief in a single reaction shot when Lady Treatment realized Cinderella had a glass blender all along. While I don't love John Ferrier, remember to the Jungle Book, Idris Elba's take on the Sher Khan is a far more frightening expectations of the terror the tiger creates in the animated film. In the 1967 film, Sher Khan is apparently Nestle having the scare of the enough of the jungle animals so they protect the man cub, marveling in the dark of night. But the wild Gojo Sanders, some things tones are a nine just positions for a man-eating tiger is not quite as scary as it used to be. The original Destiny villain set as the standard for the everyone else. The transformation scenes as the queen turns himself into a witchy old hag to the convince Snow White to eat a poisoned apple and the die reminds Exemptions potence filmmaking and if anything set the standard for the Destiny villains it's how the queen dies push off a very tall cliff, precizing it the depth below just because she first in the canon does not mean she best. The queen may be creepy but she better temple for the features baddies. The well-dressed, strangely cuffed, pirate Wu plugs the lost boy and their leader Praetor's Pan is not the sacrificed destiny villain, but the caption hook is one of the most outsized bad guys, memorable for his the flamboyance more than the anything else. There has been plenty of the captions hook, but the Hans Conrad voice belong it's still one of the film's strongest elements. It's the best possible way the Captain Hook is the certainly evil, getting a spend of the straight out of a silly semiphons. Jafar is a incredible, not a solid repetition of a non-white culture in a film that does not a good job of the representing the Middle East, but the Jothan's Freeman lively performance make Jafar a white card. He instant to subjects that the comely Prince Jasmir for his own desires, but he also not about dressing up like a crotchety old man or calling Aladdin Prince Abu or whatever. No wonder Freeman has to play his character for the nearly 30 years, even originally the role in the Broadway production. When you talk about the flamboyant characters, it's awful hard to beat these the Mister of the Mythiums. Cruella inventors nestins toward pagans, Pridia and their pops. Many feats as one of the most entertaining battles in Destiny animation. The climactic chase, where Cruella just about to destroy herself and her fancy car to get the dogs for the biggest four caught ever in the wild and the crazy no less no than when we see Corella eyes explode in the furry. It's hard to find someone more terrifying than the gatekeeper of hell. It Destiny take on the Greek lang of the Hellrius. Though Hades vacillates between acting like wellheads and the rose kind of the Hollywood agents, as voiced by the James Wood in one of his best performances. Heads is a dark version of the genuine from the Aladdin. He fast talking, dropping plenty of the modern pop culture reference, and he is full of the manic energy. Wood mile, delivery make the animation of the characters that much more remarkable. The Prince and the Fog is the largely underrated and it's the Shadow Man antagonist is one of the highest point. Dr. Failure want to control New Orleans. There are mostly unspoken intimations that he bought by all white men controlling the Big Easy, and to do so, He will need to get his hooks into a down on his the luck prince and the marry into wealth and miss these characters so memorable in his the mix of charm and means as the evidence in the wonderful musical numbers friend on the other side. The film ambition is best. Yes, on one hand, Usual is not in the top of 5 Destiny villains, but make no mistake, Usual is a nasty piece of the business, the surprise sister of King Tradition who uses her seas with the powers to take control over someone of the pathic, air poor, unfortunate souls of the oceans, arrive with her the desire to explore the human world, strive for the picking just about the only thing that holds universe back from being near top the is that for being the main villain of the film she is in the awfully limited amount of the story. Yes, on one hand, Universe is not in the top of 5 Destiny villains, but make no mistake, Universal is a nasty piece of business. The surprise sister of the Nine Christians, who uses her sea wish powers to take control over some of the pathic, air poor, unfortunately soul of the oceans, arrive with her the deserts to explore the human world, is surprised for the speaking just about all in thing that the holds universe back from the being near the top is that for being the main villains of the film, she is an awfully limited amount of the story. The Conchman is a sporting character but does not he not less terrifying for a very simple reason. He gets away in the end. He lures title boy who despectively act like that, want to be big boy to pleasure land, only to get them to transform into the literal jackass he can sell to a slat mine when the Coshman ladies they never come back as boys. It's creepy when you realize that he never gets any form of the compens its chili. At least Monster dies in the end. The innovations of the early blandy good-looking Prince Charming Gerson is one of the most distributing recognized villain in Destiny history. The song named after him is a crowd-pleasing Santi where we learn about the Gaston's outstage exploitations. But the second half of the film power that Gaston's is a truly nasty character who use his good looks to get whatever he wants. When he does not get what he wants, Bally specify he turns psycho. Richard's white bombing Bethans is as much a key part of why Gatsons are deliciously awful. Speaking of the deliciously awful, here the kind what makes Scare so great and so weird is the Jeremy Irons' incredible voice performance. Irons imbues Scar with a sense of the wonder prince as the brother who was never accepted or aside to become the kind of the pride rock and a snappy sense of the humor. The performance is so good that the one Irons could not record the final words of the beep rap and voice actor Jim Cumming had to step in. The discount was made all the more jarring. Irons really was the insendable. Now you must deal with me and all the power of hell. New moments in the destiny cannot top. Maleficent transforming into a fire-breathing dragon to take out the Haruk Prince, filed from the Seven Princes aura. Sleeping Beauty is a gorgeous piece of art, but its villains is just about very best Destiny has to offer, and the Maleficent's mind are plenty scary too. Even if the fair Maleficent is for smart but the boy once she returns into the dragon all bets are off. Here's a hot take humans, where are the rows? When it comes to villain in the Destiny canon, the unknowable and the unseen man in the classic Bombay is the top. The 1942 film is a true coming of age, as which are the film of the young Bombay from his the birth to becoming the king of the frost. Midway though he has to come across the only undebatable enemy, encounter us feeling Bombay Mom in a truly heartbreaking sequence is just unforgivable fellow humans. How Elimination the Grinch improved the Christmas classic. Dr. Seuss' How the Grinch Stole Christmas is an unmistakable literary classic that the champions the transformer power of the holiday season on even the sword of the humbugs Across its nearly 65 years in the publications, the 70-page poem has been adapted by the Chuck Jones as a cartoon TV special, Ron Howard as a live-action comedy starring Jim Carrey, and even a full-fledged Broadway stage musical. While each attractions of the Seuss favorites varies greatly in the authentic and the tonal executions, they all retain the story basic theming and the premise of and the Stickles, nasty crumbdanks, stealing Christmas from the woods down in the Whoville without veering too far from the familiar story beast of the book. In 2080, Illuminations brought the story to the screen once again. The Grinch. In 2080, Illumination brought the story to the screen once again. The Grinch, the dazzling animated slapstick comedy in the vein of the studio blockbuster Depositable Me franchise, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the Turtles, means one. The film largely play it safe by rolling out the memorable scenes and songs, amuse a ton of the silly failure material to pad out the runtime to features length, deposit the familiarity of the plot and its sequence. The greatest asset to this retelling that the makes it stand out from the rest is the ending and how it the eliminates a deeper life into the characters than the previous cringe outing in the original story upon having this heart grow their size. The characters than the previous cringe outing in the original story upon having his heart grow their size. The Grinch carefully returns to the willful to give back what he had stolen under cover of the darkness and is the almost immediately giving the honor to Crave, the rose priest, in Illumination's Grinch instead of the triumphantly returning Whoville's gifts to the joyous fanfare. He slowly brings them back and the intensely apologizes to everyone before returning to his lair. In this ending, returning the gift does not instantly self-gravity the Grinch for his change of heart. The town does not give him much of a reputations when he arrives or reactions when he returns. That the presents and the moment focus more on the Grinch newly found self-awareness than it is a celebrity homecoming. Neither the town nor the Grinch himself instantly absolve him of his the action or his motives to do so. His three sides elementals make the Grinch ahead of what he died, creating his growth beyond just realizing the wrath of the Christmas and helping identify within himself why he felt compelled to steal the holiday and how doing so did not fix anything. The Grinch change of heart is not him learning that the Christmas means a little bit more, but him recognize that this feeling toward the holiday were rooted in a lack of love. Growing up a kid, he did not steal Christmas to stop it from becoming like in previous versions, but to make other feels as bad as he did to vindicated his years of the lonely youth in the orphans. Cary Grinch also acted on the holiday tropes from a Hamling school life and become a recalls, but still directed his the motivations toward Christmas and everything he felt is the represented. Elimination Grinch has the moments of the visible anxiety been around people as he had closed his heart off to others since childhood out of fear of the vulnerables and the rejections he puts up. The mean one feared able as a defiance against the word that he was hurt by. He had closed his heart off to others since child out of fear of vulnerability and the rejections he puts up. The mean of fate as a defiant against the word that he was hurt by, as it was easier for him to make others feel the pain the suffer than the comfort and grow past it. What helped still this television was the campaign he saw in the Candy Low Woo. Candy Low Woo in the previous adaptation was the principal scene as and the embodiment of the pure Christmas spirit that the Grinch later lends. In this version, she feels that same functions but also serve as a reminder of the kind of love the Grinch once longed for as a child. When the young Pooh discovers the Grinch in his the Santa disguise, she selflessly asks for him to help her mom at the expense of her own Christmas joys. This gives the Grinch a sobering moment of the perspective that puts a face to the kind of love he is literally robbing from the woods and the plants. Doubt in his the mind and to why he doing it to being with. After he returns the gifts and the retreats to his cave, the Grinch is then invited to the Candy Love Woo family dinners. Cave the Grinch is then invited to the Candy Love Woo's family dines, resulting in a charmingly awkward visit that premiered that the Grinch too for the first time in his life in the true family Christmas experience. He is shown unconditionally kindness sparked by the campaign of just one little foe enable him to love other in a character's growth more rewarding than just being able to enjoy Christmas. By virtue of being the third on-screen adaptation of a beloved book, Elimination the Grinch offer little in the way of an original plot or new sequence, but what it is unable to contribute to the story is a deeper explorations of the Grinch motivation which the climates in its the humble ending. The Grinch has always been and the outcasted loner across every Wu enabling him to love other in a character's growth more rewarding than just being able to enjoy Christmas. By virtue of being the third on-screen adaptation of a beloved book, Elimination the Grinch offer little in the way of an original plot or new sequence. But what it is able to contribute to the story is a deeper exploring of the Grinch motivations, which climates in the humble ending. The Grinch has always been and the outcasted loner across every interpretations, but the 2080 The Grinch eliminations a more identifiable reason as to why he seeks to steal it away. Previous Grinch were outcast because of their third of the Christmas, but the 2080 Grinch hated Christmas because he was cast out from a world that did not yet him a loving childhood. As to why he seeks to steal it away, previous Grinch were outcast because of their third of the Christmas, but the 2080 Grinch hated Christmas because he was cast out from a world that did not yet him a loving childhood home. Elimination the Grinch gave the characters the chance of the apologize sincerely and learn more about himself and where he fit into not only the Christmas seasons but his the community. Dr. Seuss The Grinch Review. The Grinch is up there with the Ebenezer's Courage and all time of a Christmas Hills. He stole the holidays simply because he hated the noise that eats. His heart was too size too small and of story. There are simple lesson to be the learned from the Dr. Seuss, how the Grinch stole Christmas when that all there is to it. But as elimination that Grinch proof, it's lesson that gets milder the more you try to explain it. Interior generations have grown up with the story, so the film does not have to the many surprise. The Grinch life alone and the angry in a wool life adjusting cave, while the wolves that live in the town below are loving and the merry each and the every Christmas. For the 53 years the Grinch sat in his the cave, hating it until finally deciding to the literally steal Christmas from the wolves. In the end, moved by the wolves, presents Christmas spirit. Even after his holiday his the Grinch has a change of the heart and he returns the gifts. When the Grinch is and one, dimensionally grumpy as the wolves are one, dimensionally loving, it's easy to the catch moral of the Dr. Seuss originally book, but the wrinkles added to his the Benedict Cumberbatch voice Grinch make buying it a little turner. When the Grinch is and one, dimensionally grump as the wolves are one, dimensionally loving, it easy to catch the moral of the Dr. Seuss original book, but the wrinkles added to his the Benedict Cumberbatch voice cringe making by it a little tougher. It need to be said though, the movie is a lot of fun. The cast Kenan Thompson is a particles make all the jokes land while illuminations signification below of the physical comedy and Rube Goldberg styles gadgets and the gizms give the word around the. It need to be said though, the movie is a lot of fun. The cast Kenan Thompson's is the particles make all of the jokes land while illuminations signations blend of the physical comedy and rude callback styles, gadgets and the games gives the word around the Grinch an update that mostly in keeping with the Dr. Seuss visual sphere. My 4 years old had a blast and it was hard not to have one to just stealing next to her. Of course, to flesh out a 30 pages children books to a features length moving eliminations film edit layers to the characters to both add screen time and update the 1957 original. Candy Love, for example, is the oldest daughter of a hard-working single mom. All the wants to Christmas is for her to be happy. Of course, to voice out of a 30-page children books to a features length moving elimination film adds years the Christmas to both add screen time and update the 1957 original Candy Love Who, for example, is the oldest daughter for a hard-working single mom. All she wants for the Christmas is for her to be happy, which is very 2018. In years past, Candy Love Who would not have been wishing for a dad as if that the only thing a single mom could really want. The attempt to make the film main characters more understandable is a way less charming and in fact a little problematic in addition to be a disable me style upgrade. In the teach department, the Grinch gets a surprisingly tragic backstory young. The empty to make the film main characters more understandable is way less charming and in fact a little problematic in addition to a deposit capable missiles upgrade in the teach department. The Grinch gets a surprisingly tragic backstory. Young Cumber Grinch was the abnot, a forgotten child whose skills as an adult is no longer self-imposed. Yes, like the book, his heart too small and his shoes may be too night, but there's a reason for in it this version that not his fault. As a result, the simple, elegant lesson about kindness and the warmth in the holiday season gets thicker. Instead of the Grinch being angry at the other people's joy during a holiday he sees as hollow and the any young, he is bitter about being let out it in the first place. There's still a lesson being tough to the Grinch here, but the note is the completely on the computer Grinch to just kind of get over it. There are a handful of the moments in the film where the Grinch is not a mean one at all, showing the kind of the empathy he is meant to lend by the end of the movie. His dog Max is by the Grinch's side throughout the entire movie in spite of the Grinch growth. Demoners, it's obvious Max care about him and the vice versa. As we all know, they're not much better investments of the characters than a cartoon dog. Ultimately, the Crumber Grinch is not all that bad of guy and thanks to his Ultimately, the Crumber Grinch is not all that bad of a guy, and thanks to this new backstory, even when you would not want to turf with them 39.5 foot floor, you can't at least understand why he is acting that way. Humanize him also robs the characters of the simple, simmering pink-eyed villainy that made him one of the greatest Christmas cat in history. But when I asked my 4 years old what she thought about the Grinch, she replied he was funny when his tool presents because he was green. So you know, elimination did something right. Dr. Seuss The Grinch is a fun and a fast holiday movie updating the classic story for the audience that made the minus is $1 billion industry. However, the straightforward moral of the 30-page children's book and one of the Dr. Seuss most memorable characters get a little handcraft by this picture update. Film review Dr. Seuss The Grinch. Benedict Cumberbatch voice a previous but more relatable Grinch in a new version that, unlike Jim Carrey, stayed true to the seasoned spirit. In an era when the awkward bite film and the even junky effects laden franchise of the week are often half an hour too long for their own good. It's wrote, recalling certain examples of the pop culture storytelling that were in their way Michaels of the Brave. The original 1971 Frankenstein has a fairly involved storyline. Dr. Frankenstein's repairing to get heritage, his pouring to life of the prose, Karloff cultures the creatures learn to walk, the creatures going out into the world the day of the wedding, the peak of mob, yet the interior this goes by it just 71 minutes. And speaking of the creatures who destroy things out of the lowlands, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the 1966 made-for-TV Dr. Seuss Panimal narrated by none other than Boris Karloff also spin out a relatively biased yarn, the Grinch in his the gleeful Sequenti eyebrow humble way bored over these things called Christmas, then the dreams up and the elaborated plot. You could almost call it a heist. To keep Christmas from the coming, he goes out and he rewrites every home in the world, all the while undergoing the stage of a relatively major psychological transforming which comes to head when he has his middle of the night encounter with the little candy love. Yet, if you exist the commercial that the interior thing taken just 26 minutes to tell, though the tears of the applied it proves. In the whole life they say that the Grinch small heart grew their size, that the day are powerful enough to make you feel like you are watching the taught versions of It's a Wonderful Life. Ron Howard live action remake of the How Grinch story Christmas, with the Jim Carrey cutting loss in about 12 different ways as the Fury's courage, woo life, reminds of the most critical revered Hollywood film of the past 20 years. Yet it was a major success story, the top grossing movie of 2000. A lot of what criticized hated about it, apart from the fact that Jim Carrey had finally worn out his welcome with them, came down to the idea that it took a revelations special that was the definitions of the kinding perfections and the weight it down with a thousand unnecessary and the annoying bells and the whistles more, much more became less in the brings and the scanty no. In the bright and the spell new computer animated fairy tale, Dr. Seuss the Grinch, the same dynamic exists, at least in the abstract, a story born to be a succinct marvel of a sensation narrative gets the physicist and the inflected into a features length movie, yet there are cruel difference. The last thing that the film directors Yarrow Chaney, The Secret Life of Pets, and the Scott Musters want to be assumes of its the trusting a beloved classic again, so there are decent stage in their visuals and the narrative ambitions of the movie doing all it can to say to the look and feel in a spirit of the 1966 special. Does it add anything apart from length? Maybe not, as the special proof, and does year after year perfection is the perfection. Yet taking on its own triumphs, i.e., presents that you are never encountered this story before, as the countless children who see this movie won't have. The Grinch is the beyond and the agreeable entertainment with the lead vocal performance by the Benedict Cumberbatch that does not try to beyond the story. The Y. Carey performance did or Mike Myers in the 2003 live action The Cat in the Hat towards some measure beyond glow of the Helipoint dump truck energy. Cumberbatch in his the droll and the tasteful way respect the Grinch of the Grinch, that he is force of the Mr. Obvious, that he is the force of the mischievous, Mathambo represents something in all of us, the potential to be bad when unhappy taking over. There no dying though that he is a Grinch, who shadow lined in his the acrimony if not in his the coloring. His fur is still seeking green, making him an ever so slightly more relatable, misanthropic, battle-braved Grink. Cambridge gives him an the American accent and the speak quickly, with an earthly efficiency. The sound is less scared of, with his dark and the booming British walls than the pure gimting. At his most scatty that the Grinch is a self-isolated. There no denying, though that his is a Grinch, who ushered light in his the acrimony if not in his the coloring. His fur is still seeking green, making him an ever so slightly more relatable, misanthropic battleboard crank. Cambridge give him an the American accent and speak quickly with an the adult obvious. The sound is less scared off, with his dark and the booming British falls and the pure gambling, and his the most presents that the Grinch is a self-isolated narrative making up for the past trauma is now front and the center early on. Sit in his home playing all by myself on a pipe organs, whose pipe shoot up like a triangles of the god-plated past. He is a soft rock pathans of the orphans, and there are funny montage of him included in a doubt of myself on a pipe orphan whose pipes shoot up like a strangles of the gauntleted past. His soft rock pathans of the orphans and their funny montage of him included in a bout of the emotional eating. He also gets a moments of the joke-free backstory when the reminds of the lonely holidays the embroidered scourge spent as a boy in a Christmas carol. The Grinch has a visual design that has survived in a Tickle's Christmas, especially story way. The House of the Wool look as the bandy and the remarkables as they did not on the page, though they are now changed with the color and the pistons, snow caps, lend the movie a formal sense of the place. Its whole life could be the word funniest sky roads. When the Grinch stand on the silver of the stand speak outside his the doorway, surviving the town below. It's like he purchased on and the apps at the same time. This is the first Grinch that gets you to feel that even in his the estrangement, he belonged to the town he is who lost his way. The Woos Village Square Christmas. Surviving the town below, it's like he purchased an Abbas at the same time. This is the first Grinch that gets you to feel that even in his estrangement, he belongs to the town. He is who lost his way. The Wo Village Square Christmas tree is so your mouths, it's a marvel. And there are, of course, dozens of the special acting films plastic required in and the contemporary animated features, most of it the revolving around the lugest of Grinch, narrowing his slightly out and the down those slopes. Dr. Seuss' famous dogger has been replaced by a lot of animation Seuss doggles, which works well enough though there's no great reason for it apart from the fact that the film has to offer something original or it would not have to a reason for the exacting that the interior paradox of the remark cultures. We want a movie like The Grinch to push our long stage bottoms yet in a way that the just French enough to delight and the safety anew. The Jam Carrey versions did not do that and the popular as it was at the time, and I seriously would how much it the was now. For anyone who grew up with the now how green stool Christmas the Grinch won't replace it, yet it's nimble and enough to delight and the safety anew. The Jamie Carey versions did not do that and has the popular and it was at the time. I seriously wonder how much it's worth now for anyone who grew up with the how the Grinch stole Christmas. The Grinch won't replace it, yet it the nimbles and the efficiently it way now that can hook today children's and more than a few adults by conjuring a feeling that the comes close enough by the end your own heart will the smell, though maybe just one or two sighs. The Grinch 2018 5 Reasons Why It's a Holiday Classic. The original 2000 movie will always be better. Given the fact that the original The Grinch movie is one of the best holiday movie of the 2000s according to IMDb, it was tough to ever remark, especially after the Ron Howard directed movie had such a vivid art direction, but the Illumination Studio tried its trend hardest. Tough, neither of the movie will ever be in the running for the crown for the ultimate Christmas movie. Both of them have some incredible moments. The animated remark is full of the creative uses. Though neither of the movie will ever be in the running for the crown for the ultimate Christmas movie, both of them have some incredible moments. The animated remark is full of the creative uses of the animation that any other animation studio would be jealous of. Out there are also things but it that the reminder audience why the original is so much better. Holiday classic surprisingly full of the laugh. Though the new movie was released to tape review and was not amazingly received by journal audience either, the Grinch is still full of the charming humor. Whatever is the Grinch throwing variable abuse at this pet dog, Max, or the way that he has and the innermost 20 feet tall chalk board only to write one thing in the very middle of it. The movie features tons of the gags, even in the certain scenes. There is a lot of the value comedy that the audience attractions are not drawn to, which makes for a great second view. Original is the better Ron Howard zany set design. Between the way the citizens of the Whoville look and the way they are treated every day like the Christmas, it's easy to think that they could be intoxicated or under the influence of some things and not just Christmas spirit. And the set design of the 2000s, the Grinch flows that the theory too, as the creaky spiral buildings are the completely terrifying and the straight out of one of the hunters Therfan's fever dreams, but it's the Grinch flew that the theory too, as the quickly sparkle building are the completely terrify and the straight out of one of the hunters. Therfon's fever dreams, but it's the what makes the originally completely unique. In 2000, The Grinch the Way Carrie storms around Streising Whoville is one of the reasons why the original is one of the Christmas movie that would make great thrillers, and the illuminations take that one step further. In the animation, when the Grinch dressed up as the Santa, he carries around a candy can, which has some amazing tricks that helps him swipe everyone presents and tie up their Christmas trees. There are also tons of great innovations. In the animations, when the Grinch dresses up as the Santa, he carries around a candy can which has some amazing tricks that helps him swipe everyone presents and tie up their Christmas tree. There are also a ton of the great innovations in A's Layer 2. Original is better. The 2018 version has an imagination's voice casting. The casting of the live action movie was wild, as not only was Jim Carrey's casting nothing short of the genuine, but the supporting cast included Jerry Chambers and the Molly Shannon was fun too. However, the casting for the Eliminations version is the completely uninspired, as it sees Benedict Cumberbatch lay on the same fake accent he adopted for his role of the Doctor Strangers and the parallel Williams narrating the movie, which the clearly comes off the heels of the composing the music for Animation's Disables Me movie. Holiday classic, the Santa Fairy music. Deposit the uninspired voice casting, the studio made some lapse when it came to the soundtrack, as the music features on 2018. The Grinch is still of chill friendly hip hop. One of the most creative moments of the soundtrack is the Taylor, the creator take on You Are a Main One, Mr. Grinch as his Beyond two voice is perfect that the track, the soundtrack, even further music for the Run DMC. Original is better. The 2018 version is a completely rehash. Between the two versions of the story, there is very little difference between the overrating narrative, even down to the flashback that the Grinch has to his the trouble Christmas-less childhood. The two are almost narratively identical, very little has been changed or added, meaning that it is almost literally and the animated remark on Ron Howard take on the classic Dr. Seuss book. Holiday classic, the creative animations. Animation is great at what it does, and the studio has a very specific animation style that is destined to them, and it identifiable suit the Grinch perfectly. And when it comes to the town of the Wooling, the studio is clearly flexing its the musical. From there are floor bus stop for the tribes, discuss bus to the Grinch. Funhouse type layer illumination has done and the incredible job of the brings wool life or life just as well as the original did. And when it comes to the town of the Whoville, the studio is clearly flexing its the musicals from the three-floor bus stop for the tribe's disco bus to the Grinch. Funhouse type layer illumination has done and the incredible job of the brightening wood life to life just as well as the original did. Hating the 2000 versions of The Grinch is one of the unpopular Christmas movie opinion, but it's not secret that its art director is the more than a little divisions, as the populations of the Wolfville have a very specific look about them, with a huge checks and tiny point noses. Ron Howard and his team applied clearly uncomfortable prosthetic to every member of the cast and the every extra, and it looked hilarious and the juicy at the same time. Holiday classic, the Grinch relationship with the Max. In the Ron Howard versions of the classic Dr. Seuss characters, there was very little that could happen between the Grinch and his pet dog, Max, as the movie was live action. However, with the Grinch being animated, Illumination was able to use Max as much more of a sidekick to the Green Fury's courage, and their relationship was the surprisingly emotional too, making it one of the biggest difference between the two movies. Original is better, Jim Carrey. The original Grinch could have easily looked totally different as the Earl Murphy and Jack Nichols were also considered for the title role, which is one of the interesting behind the scenes fact about the movie. But no other actor could have played the characters like the Jim Carrey. As the single-handedly carried the film with the energy, cyclicity, and the improving, the character is one of the Carey iconic role, and no animated movie can ever undo that. In an era when the overbites film and even junky effects-laden franchise Fantastic of the Week are often half an hour too long for their own good, it's worth recalling certain examples of pop culture storytelling in their way. Musicals of the Brifty, the original 1931 Frankenstein's as a fairly involved storyline. Dr. Frankenstein's preparing to get Hattie. He brings to life of Boris care for creatures, the creatures learning to walk, the creatures going out into the world the day of the wedding, the peacock, yet the interior things goes by in just 71 minutes. And speaking of the creatures who destroy things out of the lawn lines, how the Green stole Christmas, the 1966 made-for-TV Dr. Seuss Paranormals, narrated by none other than the Boris Karloff, also spins out a relatively best yam, the Grinch in his the gleeful Sequenti, I brought human bug whiteboards over these things called Christmas, then dream up and the elaborate plot. You could almost call it a heist to keep Christmas from the coming. He goes out and the raids every home in the wool life, all the while underdogging the stage of a relatively major psychological transforming which comes to a head when he has his middle of the night encounter with the little candy low. Yet if you exist the commercials, the interior things taken just 26 minutes to tell, though the tears of the uplift it the proven are powerful enough to make you feel like you are watching the toad versions of It's a Wonderful Life. Ron Howard live action remake of the How the Grinch Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey cutting loss in about 12 different waves as the furious courage of the Wolverine remains one of the most certainly revealed Hollywood film of the past 20 years. Yet it was a major success story. A lot of what criticized hated about it, apart from the fact that Jimmy Carrey had finally worn out his the welcome with them, came down to the idea that it took a television special that was the different of the kitty perfections and weighed it down with 1,000 unnecessary and the unknown bells and whistles more. Much more became less. In the bright and the spinally new. In the bright and the spinally new computer animated fairy tale, Dr. Seuss The Grinch, the same dynamic exists at the last in the abstract. A story born to be a succinct marvel of the succession's narrative gets finished and the inflected into a features-length movie. Yet there's a crucial difference. The last thing that the film directors, Yarrow Chaney, the Secret Life of Pets and Scott Musters want to be the excuse of its the trashing a beloved classic again. So there are distinct sensations in their visuals and the narrative embellishments of the movie doing all it can to say true to the look and feel and the inspector preach to the look and feel and the interior speech of the 1966 special. Does it add anything apart from does it add anything apart from lengthy? Maybe not, as the special proof. And does year after year perfection is perfection, yet taken on its own terms, i.e., pretend that you are never encountered his story before, as the countless children who see this movie won't have. The Grinch is a beyond and the agreeable entertainment with a lead vocal performance by the Benedict Cumberbatch that does not try to the Benedict story the way Carrie performance did or Mike Myers in the 2003 live action The Cat in the Head toward some the Miss Burton's claw of the Halizonia. Cumberbatch in his droll and the tasteful way respect the Grinches of the Grinch. That he is a force of the misachieves, me them who represent something in all of us the potential to be bad when unhappening takes over. There no dining, though that this is the Grinch who a shadow light in his the acrimen if not in the his glorying, his fury is still squeaking green, making him an ever so slightly more relatable Miss Trophia battle to boards crack. Cumberbatch giving him and the American accent and speak quickly with and the needles officials that the sound is let cal fall with his the dark and the bombing British falls then the pure gambling at his the most presenting that the Grinch is a self-isolated. There is no dining there that he is a Grinch who a shadow lighter in his the acrimely. If not in his the clothing, his fur is still seeking green, making him an ever so slightly more relatable men's trophy Beatles brown crack. Cumberbatch giving him an the American accent and speak quickly with and the ladle. Efficiency the sound is less scared off. With this dark and the becoming British wolf than pure gambling at this most precisely that the Grinch is a self-isolated narrative making up for the past trauma is now front and the central. Early on, he sit in his home playing all by myself on a pipes organs. Those pipes shoot up like a triangles of the gold-plated past. He's a soft rock pathans of the orphan, and there a funny montage of him included in a boat of myself on a pipe organ whose pipes shot up like a strangles of the gold-plated past. He's a soft rock patterns of the orphans and there a funny montage of him included in a doubt of the emotional eating. He also gets some moments of the joke-free backstory one reminds of the lonely holidays that embrace Scottish spent as a boy in a Christmas carol. The Grinch has a visual design that the survey in a Treacle's Christmas specially story way. The house of the wolf look as the bandy and the ramshackle as they did not on the page, though they are now charged with the color and the presence. Snowscapes lend the movie a firmer sense of the place. Its wolf could be the word Fenke Sky Resort. When the Grinch stands on the silver of the extant peak outside his doorway, surviving the town below, it's like he perches on the abyss. At the same time, this is the first Grinch that gets you to feel that even is the entertainment he is who lost his way, the Wo's village square. Surviving in the town below, it's like he's the prestige on an abbas. At the same time, this is the first Grinch that gets to you feel that even he's the entertainment. He belongs to the town. He's who lost his way. The Wo's village square Christmas tree is so ignorous. It's a marvel, and there are, of course, dozens of the spectacular acting films plastic required in any counter for animated features. Most of it's the revolving around the lugest of the Grinch, narrating his the slide up and down those lob. Dr. Seuss' famous Doggles I have been replaced by a lot of the imitation Seuss Doggle which work well, though there are no great reasons for it apart from the fact that the film has to offer some things originally or it would not have a reasons for exacting that the interior paradox of remark cultures. We want a movie like The Grinch to push our nostalgia buttons yet in a way that just fresh enough to delight and dissatisfies anew. The Jim Carrey versions did not do that, and as popular as it was the time, I seriously wonder how much it's the watch now for anyone who grew up with how the Grinch stole Christmas. The Grinch won't replace it, yet it's the nimble and enough to delight and dissatisfies anew. The Jimmy Carrey versions did not to do that. And as popular as it was at the time, I seriously wonder how much it's watched now for the anyone who grew up with the How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The Grinch won't replace it, yet it nibble and the affection in way that can hook to do children and more than a few adults by the conjuring a film that comes close enough. By the end, your own heart will swell, though maybe just one or two sighs. Dr. Seuss' How the Grinch Stole Christmas is an unmistakable literary classic that champions the transmotor power of the holiday season on even the sword of the humpbacks. Across its nearly 65 years in the publications, the 70-page poem has been adapted by the Chuck Jones as a cartoon TV special, Ron Howard as a live-action comedy starring Jim Carrey, and even a full-fledged Broadway stage musical, while each iteration of the Seuss favorite varies gently in the authentic and the tonal exacting. They all retains the story basic reminds and the premiere of and certainly necessity come back down stealing Christmas from the wool down in the wool life without the varying to war from the familiar story beats of the book. In 2018, Elimination brought the story to the screen once again in The Grinch, a dazzling animated slapstick comedy in the vein of the studio blockbuster Disable Me franchise, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the title. Meanwhile, the film largely plays itself by rolling out memorable scenes and the songs amidst a ton of silly filler material to pad out the runtime to the feature's length. Deposit the familiarity of the plot and its sequence, the great accents to this retelling that the make it stand out from the rest in its the ending and how it eliminates a deeper depth into the characters when the previous Grinch outing in the original story upon having his heart grow three sizes. The Grinch carefully returns to the wolf life to give back what he had stolen under cover of the darkness and is almost immediately giving the honor to crave the roaster beast. In Elimination, Grinch, instead of the triumphantly returning whole life gears to Josie's funfair, he slowly brings them back and they instantly apologize to everyone before returning to this fair. In this ending, returning the gift dogs not instantly self-gravity the Grinch for his change of heart. The town does not giving him much of a reception when the he arrives or reaction when he returns the presents and the moments focus more on the Grinch newly found self-awareness that it is a celebrated homecoming. Neither the town or nor the Grinch himself instantly abuse him of his action or his the motive to do so. His three sides elemental makes the Grinch ashamed of what he did, criticize his growth beyond just realizing the worth of the Christmas and helping identify within himself why he felt complete to do still holiday and now doing so don't fix anything. This green change of heart is not himself learning that Christmas mean a little bit more, but him recognize that his feeling toward that holiday were rooted in lack of love growing up as a kid. He did not steal Christmas to stop it from coming like in the previous versions, but to make other feel as a bad as he did to vindicate his years of the lonely youth in the orphans. Cary Grinch also acted on the childhood trauma from a humiliating school life and become a recalls but still directed his the motivations toward Christmas and everything he felt in the represented. Illumination that Grinch has moments of the visible anxiety being around people as he had closed his heart off to others since childhood out of fear of failure, ability, and rejections. He puts up them mean one fate as a defiance against the world that he was hurt by. He had closed his heart off to others since childhood out of fear of the vulnerability and rejections. He puts up them one's feet as a defense against the word that he was hurt by its wound easily for him to make others feel the pain he suffered than to the comfort and the grow past it. What helped still their elevations was the campaign he saw in the Candy Lovu. Candy Lovu in the previous adaptation was the principal seen as an embodiment of the pure Christmas speech that Grinch later learns. In the versions, she feels that same functions but also survive as a reminder of the kind of love Grinch once longed for as a child. When the young Wu discovers the Grinch in his the Santa disguise, she is selfless, asks for him to help her mom at the expense of her own Christmas joys. This gives the Grinch a subroaring moments of the perspective that puts a fact to the kind of love he is the literally robbing from the woods and plants doubt in his mind as to why he is going into being sweet after he returns the gift and retreats to his the cave. The Grinch is the invited to kindly Low Woo's family dinner. Cave the Grinch is then invited to Candy Low Woo family dinner, resulting in a charmingly awkward visit that the premier the Grinch to, for the first time in his life, engage in the true family Christmas experience. He is shown unconditionally kindness, sparked by the companion of just one little Woo, enabling him to love other in a character's growth more rewarding than just being able to enjoy Christmas by virtue of being the third on-screen adaptation of a beloved book. Eliminations the Grinch offer title in the way of an original plot or new sequence, but what it is able to contribute to the story is a deeper explorating of the Grinch motivations, which climates in the humble agony. The Grinch has always been an outcasted loner across every, enabling him to love others in a character's growth more rewarding than just in being able to enjoy Christmas. By word of being that the third on-screen adaptation of a beloved book, Animation the Grinch offer title in the way of an original plot or new sequence. But what it is able to contribute to the story is a deeper explorating of the Grinch motivation, which the climates in its the humble ending. The Grinch has always been an outcasted loner across every interpretations, but the 2018 Grinch illustrates a more identical reason as to why he seeks to steal it away. previous Grinch were outcast become of their heart of the Christmas, but the 2018 Grinch hates Christmas because he was cast out from a world that did not yield him a loving childhood. As to why he seeks to steal it away, previous Grinch were outcast because of their hatred of the Christmas, but the 2080 Grinch haters Christmas because he was cast out from a world that did not yield him a loving childhood home. Eliminations: the Grinch gave the characters the chance to apologize sincerely, learn more about himself and where he puts into not only the Christmas season but his the community.